Okay. The board will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderwoman Middlebrook, Alderman Bosley, Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Hubbard, Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderman Kotar, Alderwoman Rice, Alderman Gunther, Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Ornowitz, Alderwoman Murphy, Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Green, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Roddy, Alderman Todd, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Boyd, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman Narayan, Alderman Cone, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderwoman Navarro, President Reed.
Here.
Alderwoman Middlebrook, Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Ingracia, Alderwoman Rice, Alderwoman Martin, Alderman Ornowitz, Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Green, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderman Roddy, Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Cone. 17 present.
Quorum being present, we will be led in prayer today by John Watson Jr. of Maple Temple.
We'll quote from the Holy Scriptures. The Lord is my light. The Lord is the light of my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Gracious God, Heavenly Father, it was the light of your love that illuminated our path in the darkest of times, that allowed us to see clearer and removed our fears. It was the strength of your Spirit that allowed us to stand against our odds and not be afraid. On today, released in this room, in this community again, those enabling graces from you that allow our minds to be clear and our hearts to be strong as we move our great city forward. Amen.
Thank you, John. Let's give him a round of applause and thank you for opening us up with prayer today. We'll dispense with line item 3, introduction of our guests. Any introduction of our guests? Alderman from 3rd.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to introduce as my honored guests my sons, Christian and Tristan Bosley.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Any further introductions? Any further? Alderman from 26.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I would like to have as my special guest all the ladies in the room, all the girls, young and old. Today is International Day of the Girl.
Oh,
and so
excellent.
we want to celebrate. I know you all celebrate us all the time, but we get a little extra celebration today. So happy International Day of the Girl.
All right. Any further introductions? Any further introductions? Any further introductions? Alderman from the 10th, like to wrap us up.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. It's also National Take Your Family Bowling Day, so don't forget to go out and roll a few frames with your girls today. But more importantly, on this day, in 1975, the first Saturday Night Live premiered. But also in 1869, Thomas Edison made his first patent. His first machine was a vote counting machine, which he attempted to sell to the United States Congress, and in their wisdom, they said, no.
Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes, October 4th, 2019.
Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on approval of the minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move for approval of minutes dated October the 4th, 2019.
Moved by the Alderman from the 22nd, seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in A, B, and C of the agenda and has been placed in the aldermen's mailboxes. Dear members of the board, I have the pleasure to submit the following individuals for appointment to the Westminster Lake Special Business District. The appointment of Ms. Christina Bennett, a property owner in the district whose term will expire on December 31st, 2020. The appointment of Ms. Leah Harris, whose term will expire on December 31st, 2021. I respectfully request your approval of the appointments. Sincerely, Lyda Cruzen, Mayor.
Alderman from the 28th, you recognize on the mayor's appointment to the Westminster Lake Special Business District.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we approve the mayor's appointments to the Westminster Lake Special Business District.
Moved by the Alderman from the 28th, seconded by the Alderman from the 9th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We would dispense with line item 7. Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? Anyone? Alderman from 6.
And does.
Yeah.
I don't have one. You don't. She doesn't have one.
All right. You got it? Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? We dispense with line items 8 through 10, first reading of board bills.
Board Bill 124 was not used this session. Board Bill 125, sponsored by Alderman Moore, an ordinance approving a blighting study and redevelopment plan for the Evans, Newstead, Pendleton, and Scatter Sites redevelopment area. Board Bill 126, sponsored by Alderman Roddy, an ordinance to submit a 2020 annual action plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development as required to apply for funding under the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS entitlement programs, authorizing and directing the mayor and the comptroller on behalf of the City of St. Louis to enter into and execute agreements with HUD for the receipts of 2020 CDBG, Home, ESG, and HOPWA funds. Board Bill 127, sponsored by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, an ordinance amending the redevelopment plan for West End redevelopment area, approved ordinance 64392 dated June 25th, 1998 by adding the implementation schedule, now calling for projects to be completed on May 1st, 2029. That is the extent of first reading of board bills.
Alderman from the 3rd, you recognize.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to suspend the rules to introduce Board Bill 128.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 3rd, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 1st. Is the bill on everyone's desk?
Yes, sir.
It's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules for the purposes of introducing Board Bill 128. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Gunther. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Roddy. Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed.
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderwoman Rice. Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Roddy. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Cone. 19 aye votes.
By a vote, sustain the motion, Alderman from the 3rd, and introduce Board Bill 128. Madam Clerk, please place Board Bill 128 at the tail end of the first reading calendar. Read the summary for Board Bill 128 and also assign it to Public Safety.
So noted. Board Bill 128, sponsored by Alderman Muhammad, an ordinance prohibiting the issuance of any package or drink liquor license for any currently non-licensed premises within the boundaries of the 21st Ward Liquor Control District as established herein for a period of 5 years from the effective date hereof, containing exceptions and allowing during the moratorium period for the limited transfer of existing license under certain circumstances and renewing of existing license. That is the extent of first reading of board bills.
Reference to committee.
To the Neighborhood Development Committee, Board Bill 125. To the HUD's Committee, Board Bill 126 and 127. To Public Safety Committee, Board Bill 128. That is the extent of reference to committee.
Second reading.
We have none.
We dispense with line item 14, perfection consent.
Board Bill 116, Committee Stub, sponsored by Alderman Vaccaro, an ordinance adopted and approved pursuant to 70.815 Revised Statute of Missouri, authorizing the police commissioner to make a contract on behalf of the City of St. Louis with St. Louis County, allowing St. Louis County to provide a police services on MetroLink property within the city limits of the City of St. Louis, including exercising powers of arrest for criminal offenses and violations of the ordinance of the City of St. Louis, the same as possessed by the city police officers of the City of St. Louis, and with the same immunity as if acting within St. Louis County and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 90, sponsored by Alderman Kotar, an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission on July 1st, 2019, to change the zoning of property as indicated on district map from the dual zoning of D, multifamily dwelling district, and G, local commercial and office district, to D, multiple family dwelling district on the newly plated lot, the parcel that abuts the existing alley, and the H area commercial district on the newly plated lot, the parcel that would abut both Geyer and Menard, in CD Block 396 so as to include the described parcel of land in CD Block 396 containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 85, as amended, sponsored by Alderman Gunther, an ordinance approving the dissolution of Cherokee Station Special Business District and the discharge of the members of its Board of Commissioners by repealing ordinance number 58600, approved May 6, 1982. Board Bill 112, sponsored by Alderman Vollmer, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment making a supplemental appropriation to the annual budget ordinance 70963 for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020, amounting to the sum of $9,360,460 and containing an emergency clause. Board, I'm sorry, that is the extent of perfection consent.
Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on the motion for the perfection consent calendar.
Move for adoption of perfection consent calendar.
Moved by Alderman from the 22nd. Entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by Alderman from the 27th and Alderman from the 10th. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt our perfection consent calendar. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Board bills for perfection.
Board Bill 103, sponsored by Alderwoman Hubbard and Alderman Muhammad, an ordinance authorizing the execution of amended and restated parcel development agreement by and among the City of St. Louis, Missouri Northside Regeneration, LLC, and the Northside Urgent Care Property, LLC, NSQAL-ICB, LLC, and HGP Hospital Corp., prescribing the form and details of said amended and restated parcel development agreement authorizing certain actions by city officials and containing a severability clause.
Alderwoman from the 5th, you recognize on the perfection of Board Bill 103.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to move for perfection of Board Bill number 103.
It's moved by the Alderwoman from the 5th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 19th. Please proceed, Alderman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Basically, what this board bill does is it authorizes the execution of an amended and restated parcel development agreement for the HealthWorks project, Ordinance 70525 and Ordinance 70526, approved tax increment financing assistance for the development of a 3-bedroom hospital expandable up to 103,000 square feet with a 24-hour emergency room and associated roads and public infrastructure improvements. Ordinance 70525 authorized the execution of a parcel development agreement for the HealthWorks project, and Ordinance 70526 authorized the issuance of TIF notes in the maximum principal amount of $8 million plus cost of issuance as authorized by this board bill. The amended and restated parcel development agreement amends certain dates and adds certain parties as co-developers. Just to give everyone a brief summary of where we are with the hospital. As you all may know, I have been working on this project for in excess of 5 years. We have received a certificate of need. Initially, the hospital was supposed to be on the site where NGA is going to be built now, but we had to move it across the street because NGA needed more space. It'll be on the PRZADA footprint. We all know the history of PRZADA is the biggest federal debacle in the history of this city. It's so toxic, residential could never be on that site, but with the help of brownfield tax credits and other cleanup initiatives, we've been able to get investors so that we can move forward on the hospital. What we're doing here today is simply changing the dates and the partners. This bill was pre-approved. We went through a strenuous process in HUDs. The project went through every part of scrutiny that you can go through in regards to a TIF bill. Everything was talked about. We delved into all the details. There was some conversations back and forth between the city as well as the developer, and I'm grateful that they were able to come to a common ground, which gets us here today, and both parties are satisfied with the bill before us. And more important than that, this is just not about a TIF or developers or the other stuff that go on when we do projects down here. This will be the only hospital in North St. Louis in one of the most impoverished areas in the city and one of the worst zip codes in the entire state. This area has the highest rates of hypertension, diabetes, least life expectancy, every demographic you want to name. That's what's going on in the area that I represent in the 5th Ward. And what's most important about this bill to me is not only does it offer adequate health care to some of our most vulnerable cities, it will be named, if approved, Homer G. Phillips Hospital, which pays homage to the only hospital that we had in North St. Louis and one of the first in this country to permit African Americans, doctors, and nurses to get the particular training to operate in that capacity. So I would ask for your favorable support of it. I also have an amendment to offer. So if the amendment should be on everyone's desk, and then after that, I guess I can take some questions.
All right, you'd like to move to introduce the amendment?
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to move to add amendment number 1 to Board Bill 103.
Please state the amendment also first. Just read through the amendment.
Okay, so a summary of amendment number 1 to Board Bill 103. Like I said, this is an amendment that was made by the developer as well as SLDC so that we can move this project forward. Amendment number 1 provides that if the expansion hospital facility does not meet the deadline set forth in the amended and restated parcel development agreement, then going forward, the HealthWorks Hospital TIF notes can only receive debt service from revenues generated from the HealthWorks site and can no longer receive revenues from the other portions of the Northside redevelopment area unless and until such time the HUD's committee extends the date for submission of a certificate of substantial completion for the expansion hospital facility, and 2, a certificate of substantial completion has been accepted or deemed accepted on or prior to such new date for submission of a certificate of substantial completion as established by the HUD's committee. With the addition of the restrictions in amendment number 1, SLDC supports Bill 103.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 5th, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd, that we adopt amendment number 1. Any discussion concerning amendment number 1? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any further discussion on Board Bill 103 as amended? Alderman from the 5th, you recognize to close.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to renew my motion to perfect Board Bill 103 as amended.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 5th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 19th, that we perfect Board Bill 103 as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Wow.
That is the extent of board bills for perfection.
That's a first.
Third reading and consent.
Board Bill 95, 96, 99, 100, 86 as amended, 91 and 92.
Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on third reading consent calendar.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move for adoption of third reading consent calendar.
Moved by the Alderman from the 22nd, seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderman Bosley. Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Gunther. Alderman Vollmer. Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Ornowitz. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Roddy. Alderman Todd. Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Vaccaro. Alderman Narayan. Alderman Cone. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Navarro. President Reed.
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Green. Alderman Oldenburg. Alderwoman Spencer. 24 aye votes.
By a vote, you sustain the motion of the Alderman from the 22nd and third read and finally passed the aforementioned bills. Third reading report of engrossments.
We have none.
Report of enrollment.
Board Bill 95, I'm sorry, Board Bill 95, 96, 99, 100, 86 as amended, 91 and 92.
All other business being suspended, the President shall in open session affix his signature hereto to the end that these may become law. Alderman from the 19th, you recognize on the motion for the courtesy resolutions, Council. Please state that again, Alderwoman.
I shall. Mr. President and members of the board, I ask for consent calendar for resolutions to be approved and adopted today.
It's been moved by the Alderman from the 19th, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd and the 12th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First reading of resolutions.
We have none.
Second reading.
We have none.
Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
We have none.
Announcements.
Tuesday, October 15th, Rules will have a meeting 10 a.m. in the Leisure Room. Public Safety will have a meeting 11 a.m. in the Kennedy Room. Wednesday, October 16th, HUDs will have a meeting at 9 a.m. in the Kennedy Room. Intergovernmental Affairs will have a meeting at 11:30 in the Kennedy Room. And Friday, October 18th, is the full board meeting, 10 a.m. in the Chambers.
Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 22nd? Alderman from the 17th?
Yes, Mr. President, I was just going to announce that our HUDs meetings is we've been trying to pair the HUDs meeting, the legislation, along with an element of education. The first of those is on Wednesday, and we're having the CFO of the school board back. This is her third year before us, and it's an attempt for us to go ahead and develop a kind of shared view of using tax abatement, and so that we kind of become obviously when we do tax abatement, or to have a significant portion of that incentive comes from the school system, and we thought that would be good to have a kind of an annual relationship or an annual opportunity for the CFO of the school board. So Angie Banks will be there then, and then I sent an email out, I think it was last week, and we have a whole series of speakers coming in for those who are interested on various topics.
All right, thank you. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 22nd.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, I believe we have a celebrity birthday. Alderman Jack Coder yesterday celebrated the 21st birthday.
Please proceed, Alderman. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 19th.
As you try to be shy and make sure that nobody knows anything, I shall share. President of the Board of Aldermen had a birthday this past Wednesday.
I didn't want nobody to know that.
Thank you. So happy birthday to you.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to get you. I was supposed to tell. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Alderman from the 22nd.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move to excuse the aldermen and alderwomen from the 2nd, 11th, 14th, 15th, and 16th due to necessary absences.
Moved by the Alderman from the 22nd. Entertain the second on the motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman from the 22nd, you recognize on the motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, members of the board, I move to adjourn until Friday, October the 18th.
Been moved by the Alderman from the 22nd, seconded by the Alderman from the 10th. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Stand adjourned.